What up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is, as always, brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record, and you love Off the Record. You know how I know that? Because you tell me all the time, and I appreciate it. When you guys use Off the Record and then you get out of a big ticket and you send me a little note to tell me about it, it makes my heart tickle inside. It's a true delight. Off the Record is a service that connects you with a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction in which you got that ticket that you didn't want. Not like a ticket to Taylor Swift that you really wanted, a speeding ticket or a moving violation, a ticket you don't want that connects you with an attorney that'll fight that ticket. Could mean meeting with prosecutors. It could mean going to court. It could mean doing all kinds of things that you don't want to be doing. You want a professional handling that. And Off the Record is going to get those points off your record. In fact, if they don't, you don't pay. It is very, very straightforward. So go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TSTPOD in the Off the Record app for a 10% discount off all legal services booked through Off the Record. Again, that's offtherecord.com/TST or code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app. Don't plead guilty. Get off the record. Only suckers plead guilty, and you ain't a sucker, is ya? All right, on today's episode of the podcast, Zach and I spent the morning driving the absolutely delightful ND3 Mazda Miata, the MX-5. We've got a video up on the old YouTube channel, a full review, but we go further in depth on the show. Plus, I give my review of the new 1958 edition. That's Toyota speak for base model Land Cruiser. And Zach went to the track to drive a factory modified special edition RS6 Avant GT. A sharpened, tighter version of the RS6 Avant. Plus, we have some great questions, including the debate between an Audi RS3 and a CT4V Blackwing, and a whole lot more. It is a cruise show on the Smoking Tire Podcast. I'm sort of excited to find out in real time what the answer to that question is that they asked me in Hebrew school. If you were in Nazi Germany, what would you have done? Now we get to find out.
They asked that in Hebrew school?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now we get to find out.
Did you answer, I'm 12?
I mean,
Like,
yeah.
I would have been scared.
I don't actually remember what I answered. I do remember that being a question, though. And I don't know if it was Hebrew school.
I would assume
it might have been like middle school history. You know, and you're like, how does that happen? And then now we learn. Now we learn how it happens. Yay. Fascism.
We'll see.
Sure.
Be optimistic.
Sure. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, cars.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I mean, we could talk about German cars. The 911 hybrid video, which goes up in 25 minutes, but by the time most people that
Well, this will go up next Tuesday.
No, I know, but like there's probably like at least 4 people on the live stream right now that will
28. Sir.
Okay, so
28.
those 28 people in 25 minutes will be able to the live stream will drop to 0 because everyone will go watch our 911 hybrid video.
True.
Which is up. What do you? I mean, after what do you? You edited the video. And it looks pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Looks real
500
fucking fast.
horsepower.
Sounds good too. It's good sound. Car.
It does. It does sound a little
different.
bit. It does sound deeper, as you said. It doesn't come through great in the video because the car's going so quickly that the wind destroys the microphone that was on the back of the car. But you can actually hear it in the in-car.
Yeah.
Which I know is a little bit of enhancement happening.
There's a small amount, but it is a
yeah.
much deeper sound than the 3-liter turbos.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
I'm excited to try it eventually.
If you're on the live stream and you click away to go watch it, you can then click back and ask questions for the Patreon at the end of the program. But we could talk about the Miata because that video will go up before this podcast, so we could talk about that.
We could talk about RS6 GT Avant, which went up today. I didn't put it up today, but like we can talk about all of those things.
So we have all those cars that are now post-embargo.
Yes.
All right, so you first.
And then we have
RS6 GT Avant.
Sure.
It is, what have you done there?
What the?
Instagram has fucked up. Refresh. Enhance. There it is. It is a very aggressive package. Look, can you get that in a regular ass color? Or is it
Only in Europe.
Here they all look like that?
Yeah. So the price planning of this, and I don't want to get anyone in trouble at Audi that I met, so I'll tell you later. But in America, the RS6 Avant is an RS6 performance that they have then put coilovers on instead of air ride. So you cannot get, there's no optional suspension for RS6 GT Avant in the US.
Oh, for GT Avant. I was going to say, all the other
for
air
GT
rides
Avant.
for regular RS6 Avant, you could get air ride but no coilovers.
Right. This, you only get coilovers.
Okay.
It's a little lower, 3-way manually adjustable. They come with a toolkit. They come with these cool wheels that they designed. And then there's a new LSD tuning and a different transmission tuning. And the center differential sends more torque to the rear. It's up to like 85%. And the steering tuning is a little bit different.
Okay.
So it's pretty simple, right?
Did they have a regular RS6 on hand for you to drive back to back?
They had one, but we weren't allowed to drive it on track because, as someone said, they're like, we need to get back to the airport. And I was like, yeah, I understand. It's 92 degrees out here. We're at Willow Springs.
Yeah.
And that's a great way for your commuting car to get, to be damaged.
Yeah.
Because it was like I had the car for 2 hours and then another journalist. So they didn't have a car I could drive on hand. But what's funny is to go back to the pricing. In Europe, you can get the RS6 GT Avant in a couple of different colors. You don't have to get the graphics package.
Okay.
You can also get it with these carbon buckets that we don't get here, which are rad. They're adjustable carbon buckets, so you can adjust the angle, but they're lighter and they look cool. And you can get it with the air suspension.
Oh.
So the whole purpose for this car is, you might remember this, like 4 years ago, I think they got an Audi design team of like students and things to do some sort of homage to this 1989 IMSA car. And it was like, all right, do something cool here. Here's your school project through Audi. And so they made basically this RS6 Avant. They did graphics. It had side pipes, and it was like, all right, how would we make a modern version of this out of a wagon? So they decided to build the thing. There's only a few hundred being made worldwide.
Pipes?
No, that's the cool thing. It has it's got carbon hood and fenders. It's got new front and rear fascia. It's got this cool little tailgate thing that like smooths out the rear instead of it being like a step from tailgate to bumper. It's got like a swoopy thing. It's got a pass-through wing on the top, and that's pretty much it. It's basically like dynamically, it's a little bit improved.
But you started to say
crazy
pricing.
Kit. So, sorry, pricing and optioning. In Europe, you can get it in a bunch of different solid colors, and you can get different suspension choices, and you can get all these different things. Here you get one thing.
One way.
So I think in Europe, it makes less sense to buy it because you just get an Audi RS6 Performance. It's fast. It has the same power. You can get different suspension, I guess, but like I just don't understand. I don't understand the point of buying a limited edition thing that doesn't look like the limited edition thing and isn't different enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. But like white wheels and graphics are like super aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
It is very aggressive, but I guess like it's an homage to this psychotic Audi 90, which really only has the roof of an Audi 90. Yeah. If you're going to do that, I think just rock the thing as it is.
Sure, okay.
For a year.
So how much is it?
Pricing wasn't announced. Maybe it's been announced. Okay. At the time I was there, it was not
announced. And how does it drive?
It drives awesome.
Really?
So I had like 20 minutes on streets of Willow, 90 degrees outside. I'm very impressed with the responsiveness of the car, considering it's like 4,600 pounds. I'm really impressed. The carbon brakes are, of course, amazing. Steering feels linear, not progressive, which is fantastic. And it held up fine in the heat. Couldn't really tell the differential. Like I couldn't drive the cars back to back. It didn't feel front wheel drive biased. It didn't have any understeer issues. The thing just felt, I don't know, like kind of like a GTR wagon, which was really impressive. It didn't feel out of place doing road course stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Which was pretty rad.
The problem I had, I love RS6 Avants in general, but I love the idea of them more than I actually love driving them. I drove one on the press launch, and while it was cool and very fast and did the thing it was supposed to do, I didn't find it to be particularly exciting. Like when you're just using it as a regular car driving around town, there's nothing about it that feels really exciting.
True.
And And I've had 2 customers here at Westside who bought them, kept them for a year, and then sold them because after the year, they're like, oh, okay, I kind of get this, and I'm moving on. There wasn't anything about it that like really was engaging over a long period of time. So making this one like more engaging, which is what it sounds like they've done, is good, right?
I think we'd have to go to like, I agree with you, because I think all of these big 4 or 5 door super sedans, and like let's talk, M5, E63 AMG, none of them in my experience have been very engaging around town other than sound. And I think that's what they want, because the buyer wants to be comfortable. I think didn't we have like a red RS6 wagon once as a presser, and it was pretty stiff, and granted we're in LA.
Yeah.
This would probably be stiffer. I didn't get to drive it on the street, and Streets of Willow has been repaved. So there, it felt fine. So for me, these things don't need to be super engaging all the time because they're designed as like dual purpose vehicles. But I think they have such a presence when you walk up to it that, especially compared to like the new M5, which looks insane, I feel like that's a lot of it. I feel like the RS6 has an amazing character and like soul that when I look at it, it's intimidating. I think it just looks like
It looks great.
Darth Vader's
Yeah,
car.
they look great.
So I think that's where some of it comes from. And then you get in it and it's really comfortable. The price on this, it is out now. It wasn't out at the time I drove it.
185.
Estimated 236.
Holy
according
fuck.
to Motor One. So so if you get
so
a regular
expensive.
RS6, it's like 170.
Oh man, is an RS6 $170,000?
I think, yeah.
I thought the one we drove was like 130.
It was a while ago though.
Wow, really?
It was.
No.
Audi RS6 Avant starts at 126 according to
Okay.
Car and Driver, but then they said options Performance Bronze Edition 160. Man, you can option the shit out of these things.
Yeah.
So, all right. So add 100.
Yeah, that's a lot.
for limited edition.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Taycan Turbo, not Taycan, excuse me. Panamera Turbo Launch Edition with Active Ride, 220.
Yeah.
See, now I'm in something that's probably faster. Is the e-hybrid, so you can drive fuel and emissions and silent for 50 miles, plus active ride. So my in-town is like Rolls-Royce level refinement.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I can go to a track day.
Yeah.
For that 230, granted, how many are they going to make? They selling?
I think 85 are coming to the United States.
Okay, they'll sell 85 of them. There's 85 Audi nerds, JFs with money. There's 85 of them. They'll buy these fucking things for
And
sure.
it really is a nerdy thing because the car it celebrates was this psychotic race car
Right.
that was like part WRC, part Pikes Peak. So good it got all-wheel drive banned from Can-Am racing after one season. And then it went and got like third in the constructors in IMSA, and it skipped 2 races. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I missed two midterms, and I got an A++ on the final.
Yeah.
It was such a badass car. But this isn't that car. Like that's a coupe built off of a sedan. This is a wagon. I mean, it's
neat.
It's neat.
It's neat.
But it is definitely one for Audi enthusiasts,
Mega
like
nerds.
strong
Yeah.
mega nerds who have made a lot of money in
Right.
their architecture firm.
Yeah, that's like there was that final edition of the TTRS. That's like super Audi nerds. There's Audi every once in a while does a mega nerd project.
Yeah.
This might be the mega nerdiest.
I would say most OEMs have mega nerd projects.
Yeah, the Morizo GR86 or like whatever. That's okay. For 85 cars, like they'll fucking sell them.
Yeah.
For sure they'll sell them. And like if I see one at a Cars and Coffee, I'll be like, "Oh, cool, somebody got one of those." Like, rad. But like I don't see the value. For comparison test, we just sold my client's RS6 Avant modded to 800 horsepower. VF tune. It had full suspension. It had an extra set of wheels. 7,000 miles on the car. It was a 23. We sold it for 111.5.
Whoa.
So like, that's, I mean, that and that is pretty close to what you're getting here.
Yeah. And
It does look cool though.
I mean, it looks
I don't know about
rad.
I'm torn on the graphics. Do the graphics look better or worse in person? Because some angles I think they look kind of cool, and other angles I'm like, God, that is too much.
I mean, I think that just depends. Like, I think in the back they look cool, which there's actually more graphic
Can I get
in
a
the
rear
back.
angle?
Let me find one. I think it almost looks like you run a skateboard company. It's like, because for people listening, the car is white, but it has all these vinyl graphics of different shapes that are orange, gray, black. I mean, the stuff stands out, and it's
It is a
it's
John
on white
Olson
wheels.
special. It looks full John Olson
100%.
from the factory.
That's weird.
And those are stickers, not paint, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like, you could put clear over it and then put different graphics over that.
Oh, I see what they've done, smoothing in the rear. That's neat. Actually, I think that's a nice
It's
look.
this little like stuck-on piece, and from
Oh, it's stuck on?
yeah.
Oh.
So it's a normal tailgate, but it does look nice, and it's got a different rear valence, and it's got this wing. I mean,
It looks better from the rear than it does from the front.
yeah.
It's got some cool look to it, but man, is that expensive. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
But I don't know. How do you feel? Like a race Porsche, but like if you were shopping for one of these in Europe, would you go solid color and then you have the rare thing in a more popular color but doesn't look like the rare thing, or you save 50 grand or 60 grand and just get a normal RS6 Avant?
I probably would not get the GT. Because it's not like I'm going to the track in my wagon.
Yeah.
I want something that has a high level of excitement on the street, which is where I'm driving this kind of car. And I also want a very good ride. I don't want manually adjustable shocks. It's not for $240,000. Like I remember driving both suspensions, the air suspension and the fixed one. And the fixed one did steer a little sharper, but the air suspension had a much more flexible ride.
Of course.
And so if I'm shopping for one of these, I'm buying the air suspension. It's a better street car.
Yeah.
But I just think, they look fucking great, and they are unquestionably very fast.
Yes.
But I feel like, and maybe the GT is different because of what they've done has made it more engaging, but I do feel like, I drove that one for a day, and afterwards, I never thought about it again. It wasn't like, man, when I drive like certain high-end stuff, even like luxury, like when I drive the Bentley GT and I give that back, I'm like, ooh, that was the shit. And
I would say that is not engaging around town,
No.
but it's very good in the canyons,
it's-
and in town it's super comfortable.
yeah, and it's really got all the goods. And when I and yes, Bentley GT is even more expensive than this, but
Right.
let's say if I let me think of a good exciting sedan, like that Alpha.
Oh, the quad.
The Giulia,
Sure.
that's pretty engaging, like around town.
Yeah. So this had a normal 8-speed transmission, but this transmission shifted really well. Felt close to dual clutch, which was really impressive. Whereas the Alpha, to me, still felt like
a little old.
It felt like older ZF, and
Wonder
the
if
interior
someone's
of
got a
this
trans
is so
tune
much
for that.
nicer than that Alpha's interior.
Oh, for
you know?
sure. Yeah. The interior of these is nice, but it's like there's a lot of touch screen. It's
sure.
it's quite digital.
Very, very, very digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole experience of these cars to me felt very digital,
That's true.
but without being like an electric car.
Yeah.
But not all the way. When it's a gas car, but there's so much digitalness to the rest of it, it's sort of like I'm like confused. Like I'm okay if it's electric if everything is super digital, but when it's gas, I kind of want like some more like switches and shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is something that all of these brands, Mercedes, BMW, the top brands have so much screen and tech because they're trying to they're trying to separate each other, separate themselves, and that's hard to do without screen design, button design. I don't know.
Yeah. It does look cool. I mean, it is a cool, neat thing. And 85 cars, yeah, they'll sell them.
Have you looked at the new M5? I mean,
no.
everyone was talking about the weight.
Everyone's talking about how heavy it was
But-
and the fact that it's not any faster than the old one, apparently.
Correct. Even though it
Is
has.
it heinous looking? Guys, got to take one quick break because today's episode is supported by Factor. Summer is here and you're heading to the beach. Lots of days of activity, playing in the sand, riding your bike, going on hikes, doing all kinds of stuff. Fuel up for those days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. You can meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? There's 35 meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, so you'll always have new flavors to explore. And man, your day will be delicious. They've got breakfast, they've got dessert, they've got everything in between. You can stay fuels with easy, nutritious options. And also, there's every bit of support for your different lifestyles, whether it's protein, calorie smart, keto, vegan, avoiding meat, whatever. Well balanced. Factor's got it. Head over to factormeals.com/tire50. That's tire50, and use code tire50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code tire50 at factormeals.com/tire50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
You know, you just.
It's not great. It's not great. No, they've been running them around. You know, my old house was right on the BMW, like the fuel economy cycle route that they would drive. So they would drive all these cars by my old house like every day at like exactly 4:30. So I saw this car running around for a while in camo. And it looks very different. With camo, it looks almost indistinguishable from the outgoing car. This is one of those cars where camo really works. It's only when you can see the painted surfaces and how light hits it that you go, oh, wow, that is actually quite different.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't think it looks great. Do you?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think it looks good.
So many angles. And
I haven't been interested in an M5 in so long.
I mean, the CS... Let's put the seats aside.
The
CS, you hate them.
The CS
that
was great,
amazing.
but it was the same thing where I know like Chris Harris fucking all over the CS, and a bunch of these guys, Jethro and these British guys, they go fucking on and on and on about it. But like,
I think that's
it
a
didn't
lifestyle
blow me
thing.
away.
But I think those guys in Europe get to take. You know, on the highway, the traffic moves at speed. They do a lot of B-road stuff, and they have kids.
Yeah.
And it's just, for them, this is the sports car that they can bring their kids and dog in.
Yeah.
And, like, they cover a lot of ground where they go to Europe or something. Like, we don't do that. You know, if we're stuck in bumper to bumper. An EV makes more sense, and that is the car for us.
Yeah. We live in a true, like, two-car society.
Yeah.
You gotta have one traffic car and then a fun car.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have a fun car, I would say that Miata...
Let's talk Miata.
If you are the right size, man, it doesn't get much better than that Miata. Other than another Miata that has better options.
Yeah.
They gave us the GT, which was fine, but man, your photo and my photo are the same. But like, that's a great photo of this fucking car. Perfect light on that shoot day. The mist, the glow, it's all fucking happening. They give us the GT, which has the leather, the adaptive headlights, the rain-sensing wipers, and the nav, which those are nice things. But I would have rather had the Brembo brakes, the BBS wheels, and the Recaro seats. Like, that would have been the spec that I prefer.
Yeah.
And I think it would have made a little bit of a difference in how the car drives. It may have made a difference in how it feels to sit in.
Oh, of course. I mean, just the shape of the seats. I haven't sat in the new Recaros.
I sat in the one Camisa had for like 3 minutes, so I don't really know. I thought they all had those new seats. I didn't realize those were like optional, and so I didn't like think about it so much. I remember sitting in them going, "Oh, these are all right," but I really didn't like the seats that were in this. Like, there's not a lot of brand new cars where I'd buy this car and take out the brand new seat. It's not like I'd go, I'd buy a C5 Corvette and take the seat out. Like, no shit. But like, in a brand new car, especially a brand new like sports car, this seat kind of sucks.
When I drove it to Good Vibes, and I was in it for an hour, and I thought it was okay. Like, it felt supple and supportive enough, but when we spent more time in it, I also recognized that on the passenger side, I had the seat all the way to the back.
Yeah.
Because the passenger legroom with that weird hump in there, like, I needed all the room I could get. and that means you can't lean it back at all, and then that means the lack of lumbar would get really annoying over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So the seat felt cheaper the more time we spent in it.
Yeah, I drove it on Saturday for like 5 hours, and my back hurt afterwards. Now,
Yeah.
I hate to start on a negative because the car is like super light, perfect weight distribution, so responsive, like great steering, great shifter, easy clutch. The suspension's like great in the city, but also great in the canyons.
Phenomenal.
Like there is no better car for $33,000.
It is like the cheapest Lotus experience.
Yeah.
Like supple, responsive, feels like you can rev the hell out of it. The engine's made from a company that the engine will work for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so many people should buy these as their second fun car.
Yeah.
Like so many people. So many people that are looking at like unreliable used German cars for 35 grand should just buy one of these.
Very true.
And it's like this isn't less fun than a Boxster. Certainly not than like an 8-year-old Boxster. It's the same amount of fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That's a good point.
It's
and the
not
repair
maybe
costs will
not
be
quite
less.
as fast, but like it's not less fun than an M3. It's not less fun. It's as fun as all of those things. It's great.
I had so much fun driving up in Angeles Crest on Friday morning. I had coffee, I was listening to music, top down, and you can feel the nose move with every little movement of your right foot in a corner, and you truly understand like how the changes in your inputs change the trajectory of a corner, which is
Yeah.
great education.
Yeah.
And also it's fun to feel like you're going really fast when you're not.
When you're not going that fast.
Yeah, because so many of the cars we get to feel anything. I mean, it's like we've done too many drugs, and we're
Yeah.
Keith Richards, and now we're like, hit me in the face with a hammer while I do cocaine.
Yeah. No, this is a good like reset. And
Yeah.
I drove to that Cars and Coffee this past weekend in my NSX with Vinny, and the NSX, same thing, because it's so low. You sit so low to the ground that 70 feels like 100 in that car. It's a very different experience. Like when I'm driving that car, I'll be like, man, I'm going fast, and I'll look down, it'll be like 72, which is not what happens in hardly any other car. I mean, it's usually the other way.
Right. It's so low. It feels like you're about to drive under the surface.
Yeah,
Like a
like you're
submarine.
really, really
Yeah.
low in that car. But the Miata, like, it's if you are under 6 feet tall, like that's probably you could be 6'2", 6'3", but you are going to consider wanting to maybe change the seats.
Yeah.
Like because the seat is like unnecessarily thick. Plus, there's no lumbar. I hate to dwell on it, but like, man, those seats fucking sucked.
And it depends on your inseam. Like
Yeah.
if you have long legs, then it's going to be even more of a struggle.
I have a bruise on the outside of my left knee from hitting the window switch panel. So like I drove it barefoot one day and my legs fit like perfect. But then I drive with shoes on, and that inch meant that my knee kept hitting that panel. So like I would rip the seats out and put in proper seats, and I'm sure there's tons of seat modifications. And,
Of course.
because I've seen tall people drive these cars before. I love that you can put the top up and down so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that a top that's easy to go up and down means you're going to put the top down more often, and that's good. The stereo, which it was loud, was actually quite good.
Pretty good.
Even with, this was the Bose, was good even with the top down. Although, as you pointed out, it's the phone calls over CarPlay aren't quite loud enough.
It wasn't. It was not. It did not match with the stereo's volume. And the good thing about the GT is there's more sound deadening in the roof, which
Yeah.
I really noticed and appreciated on the highway. We had a normal conversation, normal
Yeah.
volume, which is not true for some other Miatas I've driven. The RF I tested 5 years ago was really loud on the highway.
Yeah. And the club or whatever the last ND I had, which was a long time ago, 2018 maybe. I remember it being super loud on the highway with the top up. I don't like this car with the top up. It feels very small inside. It's not good for me. I drove it with the top down 99% of the time I had it. The only time I had the top up was when I picked you up to go on the shoot. That's the only time I drove with the top up, and I did not enjoy it. But you probably have to get You probably have to like consider your luggage choices because it'll only fit like one like roller check-in
Yep.
bag, but it'll probably fit like 3 or 4 duffels
Yeah, because you can squish them.
if you can squish
Small
them.
duffels,
Yeah,
but yes.
it's a weird shaped opening, but you could make it work.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the cup holder situation is wonky.
The trunk is shaped like one of those fancy soup bowls that aren't helpful, where it's shallow and then like after 2 inches in, it gets
Yeah.
deeper, and it's just I don't know, just wide and stupid. It's like
strange.
that. Yeah.
I wonder if does Mazda sell a fitted luggage set like a Schedoni, like Ferrari's fitted luggage?
Let's find out.
Her Royal Highness's matched Miata luggage.
Something I forgot to mention in the video is the gauges. In a world where everything is a screen,
Yeah.
they are like, chrome-ish surrounds, 3 gauges. Like they look great.
Yeah.
If these were in the Aston Martin we drove, either one of them,
That
we'd
would have
go,
been an improvement.
Yeah,
That would
instead of a screen.
Yeah. No, you get so much of the right things for a very reasonable price with this car. You have to just like, oh, look, there's fitted luggage.
Yeah.
And it's $239.
It's not from Mazda. It's from a company called Road Trip Luggage, no
Oh, look at
sponsor.
that.
But
Yeah, let's see the picture of it out of the car. Not bad. Honestly, not bad. For $239. That's all right.
yeah, and the bags are not shaped like strangely shaped. I was expecting them to be.
Well, you can see what they've done there. They put the flat one goes in the well, in
Yeah.
the soup bowl, and then those other two go
And they
90
stuff in
degrees on either side.
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
Oh, and they slope.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
you can't see that in the picture.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
they've-
here
they've-
it curves a
They've
bit.
creatively photographed it, so you don't really see it. But still, like, right?
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
it is. I'm surprised. I'm happy it exists. I guess
Like
it makes
originally,
sense.
you were like, "Oh man, road tripping with this would be a problem," but actually, that looks all right. You just have to pay the $240 luggage tax.
Which for luggage, for 3 pieces of
Yeah,
luggage,
it's pretty good.
It's not bad.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I don't know how durable it is, but geez.
I mean,
that's
it only
pretty
has
good.
to go. It's not. You're not checking it through
Right.
the airport. It's
not
just
getting-
going into the Miata.
No one's thrown it down a ramp.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. No, it's just these are such great cars, and you have to like not really have an ego,
Yeah.
because like everyone knows what a Miata is. Like you're not gonna like impress anybody with your car, but you're gonna be having a good time.
And I think any car person who's driven a Miata for 5 minutes will see what you and like I have so many comments of people saying I miss mine, I want one.
Yeah.
Like people have heard how exciting and fun they are and they're kind of interested. Or like that gentleman we drove past on the beach, he seemed interested in our car for some reason.
Yeah, that guy was about it, and then some kids in an Acura like rolled up next to me, and I couldn't tell if they were trying to make fun of me and like call me a homo or something.
I don't know.
But like they seemed, if they were trying to insult me, then they weren't doing a good job
Didn't come
because they
across.
seemed like they were very excited to see 2 bald men in an MX-5.
Oh, when you were with Christian.
Yeah, I was with
Right.
Christian.
Yeah.
He drove it, by the way, and he was like, I would buy one of these tomorrow. He said, if I didn't have to lug drums and gear around in a hatchback, this could just be my car.
It's rare that someone drives one and has a negative experience other than fitting.
Yeah.
But I think their driving experience tends to be really fun.
But I don't want them to change the size of the car to fit me.
No.
I think it would make a worse car,
Yeah.
and that's just like life.
Yeah, it's so fun and playful. Like
Yeah.
I made a U-turn on ACH, and I just went, "Oh wow!" Like
Yeah,
it's so
great
little,
turning
so
radius.
good turning radius.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then it's the ND3, right? So there's like a new diff, a little bit of new steering things here
Sort
and
of,
there.
yeah.
Which, to be honest, unless you drive it immediately back to back with the old one, I don't think it's even possible to feel the difference.
Yeah, and even then, it might be minute
Yeah.
because the steering in the old one, felt great, and this feels
Yeah.
great. So I don't know.
This was a lovely, predictable sports car. Does everything it's told and nothing it doesn't. Nothing wrong with it at all. I would skip the GT. I'd get the Club. I'd get the Recaro BBS Brembo option because who doesn't like better wheels and better brakes?
Totally.
And maybe those Recaros would be either more spacious or have some lumbar support.
hopefully, because that package, it's a package. So you can't pick.
Yeah, it's all
brake.
three.
Yeah, you get all three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to try those Recaros. I have to figure out how to. I don't want to have to get another whole press car for it, but I would. That'd be okay.
I don't think you want the sport unless you're planning
No,
to
you
make
have
a
to
race
get
car.
the club to get the.
Because then you get the Bilsteins.
Yeah, you
the
want
club
the
and the GT come with a good suspension and the good diff.
Mm-hmm.
So you want those things.
But the video is up on the channel, not if you're listening to this podcast live, but if you're listening to it publica. If you're listening to this podcast live and you were to click off right now and go watch the 911 hybrid video, I would forgive you. The new Land Cruiser. Guys, got to stop for a second to talk about Delete Me. Delete Me is so important. I mean, I know personally someone in my family, I don't want to say who, was a victim of identity theft. And someone, by getting into some online accounts of theirs, was able to open up multiple credit cards in a different state and even get a mortgage in this person in my family's name. This was crazy. They started getting like mail being like, your mortgage is behind this and that. And the person in my family is like, I don't even have a mortgage. Like, this is nuts. Online scams are just rampant. Privacy is more important than ever. And the fact that we're shopping for everything online, we're using autofill forms and everything, we're such easy targets. But we can protect ourselves and get peace of mind with Delete Me. So much of your personal information is out there for anyone to see. You want to go to Delete Me, right? That's where Delete Me comes in, because what it is, it's a service, right? It's not just a website. It's a service that finds and removes any personal information that you don't want online and then makes sure it stays offline. Delete Me is a subscription service, and it removes information from the largest people search databases on the web, in the process helping prevent potential ID theft, doxing, and phishing scams. All you got to do is sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. Then Delete Me will send you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. And again, Delete Me is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information that you don't want on the internet. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/tire and use promo code TIRE at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/tire and enter code TIRE at checkout. Again, that is joindeleteme.com/tire and then use code TIRE. Guys, got to take a quick break for our merch store. You know that blue WCCS hat that Matt is always wearing in every episode of the show and the Smoking Tire podcast? Well, now you can buy it. Beautifully embroidered, flex fit, and available now in our store. Head over to thesmokingtireshop.com or go to thesmokingtire.com and click on the shop tab. Get one for yourself while supplies last. Back to the show. I had for a week.
Do a picture.
There it is. I took it wheeling. This is the 1958 edition, which in Toyota speak means base, uber base, South America spec base, cloth seats, no sunroof, minimal equipment. That it's got the hybrid engine that everyone is shitting on because it's a hybrid engine. Land Cruiser, the name, comes with a lot of baggage, a lot of expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And the expectations of Land Cruiser, when there's a new one, you won't know if the new one has lived up to the expectations for like 20 years.
That's a great point. Yeah. Until someone takes one across Africa.
Yeah.
And sends and puts up the photos of winning camel trophy, something like that. Because that's like where the legend comes from.
Right. So, of course, this is a Land Cruiser Prado, right? It's on the same platform as the Tacoma and the 4Runner and the Lexus GX. And the full-size Land Cruiser is not coming to America except as a Lexus LX, right? So you can get that platform, but you have to get a Lexus to do it. This is the cheapest one. It starts at $55,000. The hybrid engine, so many people in my comments on Instagram are saying, like, we don't want this. We want an engine that'll last 300,000 miles. There is zero evidence to suggest that this will not last that long. Have
True.
you ever been in an airport fucking cab?
Oh, right.
A Prius
yeah.
with 300,000 miles on it. I take these cabs every fucking week. I look at the odometer. These 2010, 2011 Priuses, they all have fucking 300,000 miles on them. They're all running. So there is nothing that suggests to me that a Toyota hybrid powertrain will not last. I might be wrong about that, but like to make that assumption just based on the fact that it is a hybrid is silly with Toyota's track record of building durable hybrids.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, and so it's like, it's a 4-cylinder turbo, which nobody likes, but with the hybrid motor, it makes like 425 pounds of torque.
That might be, sorry, real quick. The difference between this and the Prius is that, the Prius doesn't have a turbocharger. So that may be the complication.
Yeah, but this isn't like a performance turbo. You're not like...
No, I know.
Yeah.
But it's still like an extra piece. And the
Yeah.
Tundra has had some problems in the last few months.
Yes, but different engine.
Different engine, turbocharged engine,
Yeah.
though. Okay.
That's the engine in the Lexus version of it, the twin turbo 6-cylinder. I mean, yes, a turbocharger does add some complication, but you're just like not like boosting this thing constantly, right? I took it up, I drove it around for a week. It feels, light on its feet actually, zippy, reasonably nimble, because this one has the regular wheels and tires, like the basic road-focused wheels and tires. Look, there's not like blocky or knobby or anything like that.
Yeah.
It rode substantially better than the Lexus, even though the Lexus has the adaptive suspension. This was nicer to drive on the street than the Lexus was. The hybrid system, the hybrid engine, it doesn't feel like luxurious. Like a V8 that's not working very hard feels luxurious. Mm-hmm. This doesn't. But Vinny has the last gen, the Lexus, like it's like a 13 or 14. And it's the V8. It's like 12 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
And I did 100 miles of highway, 200 miles of just driving around Los Angeles in the city, and then off-roading up and down Rower, which was like 40 miles, and I did almost 19 miles per gallon.
Wow.
That's like an enormous improvement.
Very much so.
It has cloth seats, which I loved, but no lumbar, which I didn't like. I really think you need a lumbar support even in the cloth seats. A lot of plastic, plasticky interior, which for this trim level, the cheapest one, like might be good because it's easy to clean. It's definitely like rugged. Mm-hmm. And with the hybrid system, it has a proper onboard generator. So you can run your Dometic fridge, you can run your camping lights, you can run like all these accessories off the hybrid system. Just like not just with the F-150 Power Boost. That one had the 240 outlet in it. This doesn't have that. It won't work on a construction site. But for, 3-prong shit, it's got plenty of power to run that stuff on a campsite, which is good. The Lexus version, which was like $85,000, had all these advanced off-road technologies. Had the adaptive suspension, 7 different drive modes, the cameras everywhere, the sway bars that automatically disconnect, all this shit. Big 35-inch or 33-inch knobby tires, all that stuff. I went up the trail in this with none of that shit. Exactly the same.
Wow.
I mean,
didn't miss it at all.
This isn't the hardest trail in the world, but I like this trail because, in my opinion, it's the hardest trail that most people would conceivably do in a stock truck. Like, there's more hardcore people out there doing real off-roading, but most people would not take their stock truck to a trail that's harder than this and expect it to not be a problem.
Yeah, this is like the limit for the bold and curious 4x4
Yeah.
owner who's like, oh, I have this. And they ask someone at the bottom of the trail, do you think it'll make it? And they just go up with their family and they get to tell a story.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to choose your line.
Yeah.
There's a little articulation needed, but you're not getting any big lean on any spots
We had
unless
multiple
you choose to.
three-wheel motions.
But I think you can usually avoid those particular ditches.
They're avoidable, yeah. I had Christian drive it off-road. He had never driven anything off-road before.
Oh, wow.
First time. And he did great. And it was like, no problem. You know, he put the wheel where I told him to put it, and the truck just did the thing. The only piece of equipment that I would want on this for off-roading is maybe some better tires, although frankly, these Yokohama Geolander whatevers were perfectly fine for this particular task. And the front camera from the Lexus GX, the nose camera, when you're going up and pointing at like the sky and you can't see the trail, that camera can come
So
in handy. So this didn't have that. But other than that, it has, especially with low range and 9 gears, the engine has plenty of power. It never felt strained. You can see there was 101 degrees outside, and the temperature never went above that middle thing. You know, locked up the diffs, no worries. It still does the thing where parking sensors don't turn off in the off-road modes, so little shrubs and shit set off the parking sensors.
Well, can you turn off the parking sensor manually?
No,
Really?
no. It was annoying.
Whoa.
It was super annoying.
Oh, that's shocking.
It was dumb.
Really? There's no
Yeah.
button?
And there's no,
Come
the
on.
tailgate is manual, which is fine, but it feels like it's ready. It feels like it's got the power hardware in it, but like no motor. So it feels like there's a lot of resistance in opening the tailgate. That was sort of annoying. And yes, the name Land Cruiser has baggage. So if you're expecting the heft of the full-size outgoing Land Cruiser, it's not that. It does feel a little more like 4Runner-y, or Tacoma, where the doors are like not as thick and heavy. It's not as like in a double layered everything, but that doesn't make it not a cool thing. And I would say in most ways, the extra $30K for the Lexus version doesn't get you a much better vehicle. I'd probably get like whatever one step up is from this. Like I wouldn't get the full base. I'd get like whatever one level up is that gets you the power tailgate and like lumbar support, and I'd stop there.
So I was curious when the GX first came out versus the Land Cruiser. Then the Land Cruiser, as you said, has been out since 1951. The GX didn't come out until 2002 for an 03 model.
Yeah.
So I think it just seems like Toyota and Lexus have gotten smart where they realize there's too much overlap between those two cars. Because for a while, the Toyota Land Cruiser was one of the nicest and most capable off-road. It was the Japanese Range Rover, right?
Right.
So then they built a second one.
When the Land Cruiser started to move upmarket in the early 2000s and became a true luxury vehicle and not just a utility vehicle, they introduced the Land Cruiser Prado, which is the underneath line, which in other markets is sold as Land Cruiser Prado, and in America was sold as Lexus GX. So that has always been that's always been this. It's just that in America, they never sold the Land Cruiser version of that truck because it overlapped a bit with the 4Runner.
Yeah.
So now, I don't know why they've done this, but now I think they're cashing in brand cachet. They wanted to bring the price of the Land Cruiser down because people didn't want to spend $90,000 on a Toyota. Whereas they would spend $90,000 on a Lexus SUV.
Right. I think it makes sense. I think for a while they were competing with themselves, and then they realized that.
Exactly. But it was for having these little wheels and these basic tires and none of the fancy shit. Well, I shouldn't say none of the fancy shit. None of the fancy tricks, because it has 4x4 low range, 2 locking diffs. It has all the goods. The $55,000 goes to that good quality off-road hardware, which it has.
So this is basically a set of knobby wheels away from being a slightly larger 4Runner.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, because if you get this base one, it's not that it feels much more luxurious than a 4Runner.
No.
It just has more space.
It's just a little bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bigger. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
And I haven't been in the new 4Runner yet, so I don't know like what the interior feels like or what the space is like. They look kind of similar because I mean they're on the same platform as same with the new Tacoma, but I just think the biggest complaint about this so far, mostly from people who have not driven them, is the fact that it's a hybrid engine, and that's not it. It's the 2025 4Runner. It's going to be the next 4Runner. So, you know, the 4Runner looks more like the Tacoma with a sort of hatchback on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it looks quite as good as the Land Cruiser. But, you know, whatever. It's fine.
Let's see. I think they both look the same to me. Like, I think that looks cool. The Land Cruiser looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing, and I think the 4Runner is pretty cool and also not amazing. Also, I'm sure what spec determines what color these like fenders are.
Yeah,
and
that
all
that one with
shit.
the painted fender flares and the bigger wheels. Go up to that tan one. That one looks a little more like the Land Cruiser.
I just want to see what the interior looked like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this one has, you know, black fenders, but it's a desert tan color.
Right.
It's the tough one.
It's the Jeffy.
But here, all right. So
Oh,
interior
yeah.
photo, this definitely is a nicer spec, but
Yeah, that's a more upscale one with like leather and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But I mean, look, it's if you ignore the fact that like you kind of have, it's like with Cadillac. Cadillac there was the CTS-V, right? And then the CTS-V this year isn't the good one. You have to add the Blackwing. Mm-hmm. So if you go, well, this last year's CTS-V was that, and this year's CTS-V sucks. It's like, well, yeah, but it's not really. They changed the name of the shit. It's not like, it's not the replacement for that, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to get the extra.
yeah, like if you want the new version of that old Land Cruiser, you have to get the Lexus now.
Yes.
They have that for you. It's just on a Lexus badge. Sorry.
Right. That is a larger leap than because the Cadillac is still being sold at the Cadillac dealership.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They moved it around. They shuffled shit.
Double bookkeeping.
I don't know. But thank you to Toyota for letting me have a go. There is not a video because nobody would watch it. Point of parliamentary procedure. WCCS hats are now for sale and the smokingtireshop.com. It's taken me only about 3 years too long to do that. This is the only item of clothing I wear every single day. Mine is probably due for replacement. It's pretty filthy, but embroidered logo, flex fit hats, really well made. They last a long time. They are very comfortable. Up until now, they've only been for WCCS customers and staff, but you can get one at thesmokingtireshop.com or go to our website and just click on the merch tab and it will take you there. They are on sale right now. Anything else on my list? We put the new battery in the Bentley. Fixed it right up.
Nice.
Cranks
quick.
Shocking. Cranks quick, but everything else feels a little happier too. I think in that period of car, like in a modern car, like even if the battery dies, you jump start it or whatever, and things are on and it's working. I feel like that era of car, if the battery's not like working so great, shit will just feel a little off.
Let's say when you get like the dimming headlights.
Yeah.
You know, the car's
Yeah.
still running, but you can tell it's struggling a
Yeah,
little
like
bit.
you do. You turn the fans on and like the idle droops a little bit. Now, new battery, it feels very lively.
Nice.
I've been driving it around for 2 days and it feels excellent.
Are your windows faster now?
They all work. All four of them.
But with the new battery, they have more power. So
More
maybe it's
juice.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't test the after voltage, but the before voltage during cranking was not good. It was bad. So 3-year warranty on the new battery.
This sounds. So 3. So the last one you had was 5 years old.
Yeah, the last battery was labeled March 2019.
Okay.
So it was its time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I also think about the fact that most drives in that car are less than 5 miles. if I'm driving by house to here or even to the grocery store, to the shop and whatever, less than 5 miles. So the car's rarely running for more than like 15 to 20 minutes. So it makes me think about like, is that harder on the battery than if I was doing like longer drives, you know, like a
I don't
proper
know.
commute or something where it would have more time to sort of charge back up?
I don't know. I'm not sure how much, like what percentage of the battery is used when you start it, and then it has to replenish that with the alternator. I don't know.
Yeah. My guess is it's probably more than like 2 miles.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. If somebody knows, leave a note in the comments.
Yeah.
If someone's an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
Shout out, and this is not a sponsored thing, but I had a Fantic jumper pack in my car.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't drive my car for like 2.5 weeks. We had press cars. I went on trips. It just sat there. And I go out and the battery is, of course, very dead.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the Fantic thing from my trunk instead of coming here to get one that's, because you guys have a bunch.
Why don't you bring the car down here and put it on a fucking tender? Why did you just leave it on the street?
Because you're full here.
We have a staff. They'd fucking move the car if we needed to.
I don't want to bother them. They got stuff to do.
You should, if you're not going to drive for 2 weeks, you should just bring it here and put it on a tender.
All right. Well,
We have room for one.
either way, the jumper thing has like a forced jump function when your shit's real dead, and
Yeah.
I did that, and it immediately started.
Yeah.
And the thing,
Just
the jumper
dumps
thing had
volts
sat,
into the
dumps
fuck-
volts. It's like 15.
Yeah.
But it had sat in my trunk for 6 months untouched. I hadn't checked it, and
Yeah.
it still had 94% battery life.
Nice.
So I was just impressed with the capacity and how long it lasted.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, those packs have eliminated jumper cables in
Totally.
society,
Yeah.
which is great.
It's cool.
Jumper cables stink. I mean, they're great if you need them.
I
and
have
you
them as
have
a backup, but-
like but being able to do that without pulling another car awkwardly into the oncoming
Flagging a
traffic.
stranger,
yeah,
and
dude,
shit like that.
yeah, shit sucks.
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to them. They've got their Amazon Prime Day sale. Go to our Miata video to get the Fantic vacuum. That is, they didn't pay for that, but they paid for an ad in the video.
Correct.
We have Patreon. Let's go to that. If you want to ask questions for the show, get the live stream, get the show ahead of everybody else. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. And I'm not going to show them today, but we got new Notice Canyon prototypes in. Very, very exciting.
They look very good.
Very
and
exciting.
we know that I don't care about watches.
Yeah.
But I was like, you saw, I was staring at a bunch of them
Yeah.
and kind of rethinking my hobbies.
There were originally we were going to have 2 new colorways, and we are now going to have 5 because we were going to pick 2 of the 5, and then I saw the 5 and I go, what can we do to make all of these? And so we're actually going to make all 5 of the colors. I will show them when the time is right, but I'm very excited. Let's see what we've got. Oh, okay. God dang it, Bobby says a more detailed story on my experience driving a gated Spider F430 with another road car connoisseur. I remember you mentioned it was one of the greatest drives of your life. When did this happen, and under what context? Was it a fan, and why don't I own one? Right. So it was my friend Andy who owned one. It was not a fan. It was a guy who was a customer at the car wash that Larry and I had in New York, and he invited us over to try. He had just got it. It was brand new at the time. He had just got the car, and he had also just got a 599. And so he invited me and my other friend to go for a drive in Greenwich and try both. And that was the first time we had tried either of them. And I mean, it was a nice drive. It was, I don't know about greatest drives of my life, but that 430 with a stick Spider, exceptional car. I don't think that your figures are correct there. I don't think a proper factory manual Spider is 160K compared to a gated coupe at 400K. I don't think that is right. I think that a proper manual Spider is more. But but it was a great drive. It was one of the best driving cars I've ever driven, and I definitely recommend one. Why don't I own one? I don't know, because I don't have that kind of money sitting around.
Quick on Cars and Bids. Last year, a Spider red with tan manual went for $130.
That's got to be a conversion. There's no fucking
Maybe
way.
because another one 2 years ago. Well, no, it was 2 years ago. Went for almost double that.
Yeah. If it's 130, got to be a conversion or have fucking a story.
I mean,
That's a manual swap. Yeah, conversion.
oh yeah.
So yeah, the real one was a lot is $100,000 premium on a real one.
Yep.
Now that's if you get a really good conversion, functionally that's the same, but I don't think you're getting a no stories 430 Spider stick for 160 grand.
Someone we know, I don't know if they published it, but someone we know with a Ferrari 360 is converting it to manual right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I talked to him about it.
that's cool.
He's having a good time with that
He's
car.
having a great time.
Yeah. That car is scruffy, and he doesn't give a fuck.
That's a
all
good
right.
Ferrari to own.
Yeah. No, Doug at Switch Cars, our pal Doug Tabbitt, has a swapped 360 Spider that he's selling for cheap right now. It's got some miles on it, and it's a swap. I think he wants 110 grand for it, which, if you want a fucking Ferrari to rip shit, like, that's the one. Oscar Negron. For a fast, practical, and fun daily driver, would you go RS3 or CT4V Blackwing, and why? Aside from the availability of a manual. I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy a CT4V Blackwing Auto
No.
over an RS3, but I would buy a manual over an RS3.
Especially because the new RS3 gets like the good diff, right?
Yeah, the new RS3 gets more stuff.
Yeah.
And the RS3 does have a nicer interior, but the Blackwing has spectacular steering, spectacular chassis control, and is also very fast.
Mm-hmm. And rear wheel drive, which is fun. I think I would get the CT4V right now because dual clutch all wheel drive cars will be around for a while.
And I would get it in manual.
That's what I meant because manuals won't be around.
Yeah,
forever.
not in auto.
No.
I would definitely get in manual, in a good color, one of them bright colors, that blue. But unless you need the all-wheel drive for winter. Rich B says, "What crappy cars do you like?" Crappy cars that we like. I mean, this depends on where you.
Right. I don't want to offend anybody. So Rich lists Mitsubishi Mirages, newer E-Series, older but clean MXs, Frontiers.
I mean,
Like, I don't want to shit on anybody's car.
other than the Mirages, I wouldn't necessarily call those like crappy. I don't know. I mean, there's.
So
I like a late 1990s like Civic coupe, like Civic hatch, Civic like I was just talking to you in the car about that fucking C4 Corvette pace car with the Greenwood body kit.
I thought that was
saw.
very crappy.
Yeah,
but you
that's
liked it a lot.
crappy. I liked it because I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time.
I still like 70s Eldorados because my grandfather had one, and they're just gigantic and so stupid. Ford Escort, the SVs. I mean, those are like SVTs, sorry. Those are fun, but, you get inside, you go, all right, a lot of Ford, a lot of circle, a lot of circular plastic.
Crappy.
NA Miatas are so fun, but so many of the controls are garbage, including the air conditioning, which doesn't really work.
Lotus Esprits are a piece of junk, but I smile every time I see one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. WS6 Firebirds.
Yep. Yeah.
I still want one of those.
IROCs.
Yeah.
Dude, I see a good-looking, clean IROC. I'm like, yeah, and they're fucking junk.
It's fun. There's like
A Cadillac
good engine,
Elante.
bad.
You show me a mint
Yeah.
Elante or a mint Buick Riata.
The Riata is a cool looking car.
They look neat, right?
Yeah. They
drive
need to
like
be
garbage.
front wheel drive, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
terrible.
they should switch that.
Terrible.
Yeah, but they're good looking.
Chevy Lumina Z34.
That I don't get it. That thing looks like shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like it.
But on the other side, I really like cars from the 60s, and you don't. And
Yeah.
most of cars from the 60s are kind of junk.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. All-wheel drive bias says, you guys and other journalists rave about the Mazda CX-5 as a decently fun SUV, but I've not had any car enthusiast friends of mine say the same. There are hundreds of them available to buy. Can something so common be that good? Yeah.
Of course.
The CX-5 is the best crossover that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I don't know what about it keeps people from buying them. But I find them to be quite pleasant.
I mean, look, Sarah bought the competitor, which is the RAV4.
Yeah.
I mean, it outsells the CX-5 by hundreds of percent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most people I think when most people are in the market for a crossover, granted this is speculation, they go, what is from the most reliable company, the most popular car I can get? Because it's an appliance. It's a stepping stone right before minivan.
Mm-hmm.
But so most enthusiasts aren't going, well, what's a fun version of this? Because you either have a fun car also, or you've given up.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the CX-5 has great like suspension tuning and good steering, and most people buying small crossovers don't actually give a shit about that.
Sarah didn't give a shit about any of that.
Hannah didn't either.
Right.
When she wanted to replace her Volvo, I was like, check out the CX-5. She's like, meh. She didn't care. Same with the Acura RDX. It was delight. Absolute delight. Nobody gives a shit.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just think when someone's shopping for cars in that category, they have a list of criteria, even car enthusiasts, and how fun it is farther down the list than if they're shopping for a coupe or a sedan.
Yeah. And like most car journalists have driven a CX-5, but have your car enthusiast friends actually driven one?
That's a great point.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't say my car enthusiast friends have driven them and say they suck. He's just saying they're not saying that it's a decently fun crossover. We've all driven it.
Yeah.
That's why if I have a chance, I find them in rental fleets once in a while. If I have a chance to rent one of those, I'm so in. Where did I rent one? And I took it on a racetrack. I forget where it was. One of those it was an AER race I did, and I rented one, and I fucking ran it at the open lapping day before the race. It was a good time. It was all right.
They're
yeah.
good.
Nathan Reynolds, favorite oddball racing cars? Walkinshaw, Volvo. Was it Walkinshaw? Who did the Volvos? Volvo wagons. Was that Walkinshaw?
Polestar?
No, it was before that.
Oh.
The Volvo 850 Touring wagon was fantastic.
Yeah.
Was it Walkinshaw?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
They did a wagon, and then they did sedans too.
Yeah.
And they fucked people up, I think. They did
Fucking
pretty
850
good.
wagons were hot.
Well, I think they realized that the benefit of the long roof, like you were a little
It was
slipperier.
weight distribution. Rear
Weight, I
rear
thought it was
weight.
aero.
Was it? I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to have some funds.
Or maybe that.
Yeah. A wagon race car is where it's at.
TWR.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anytime you see Dakar with the trucks, what the hell? But it's just proof that people were transporting things across deserts in trucks, and they thought, why don't we race with these rally cars? And
Yeah.
they look insane.
Yeah. Ivan says, what's your take on the hybridization of cars before EVs? Seems some journalists praise Lamborghini, Bugatti, and BMW for not losing their internal combustion cars yet and attaching a small motor instead. Do you see this as a better alternative? Well, there's a couple questions in here. One is I do see the hybridization of cars before EVs as being a good thing. It's not one or the other, but the point is to use electricity to reduce vehicle emissions and increase power in a way that you can't do with gasoline. And also not having people be turned off by the public charging network, which sucks. So, like Johnny Lieberman's philosophy is that EVs are better than hybrids because a hybrid is a bad gas car and a bad EV in one. But my take is that if you electrify a car and people can drive sometimes on zero emissions for the most frequent trips, which are within a few miles of your home, and then have a gas engine for longer trips, so you don't have to deal with public charging, wasting time and energy, then you are a net positive for your wallet. You're a net positive environmentally, and you don't have to deal with the frustration of public charging.
Well, and to add to that, because I agree with all those points, Toyota's theory for a long time is if we mine 1 unit of lithium, and I'm simplifying this, and we can make 20 hybrids instead of making 1 big battery EV, we reduce the emissions of 20 cars and 20 people commuting. And I agree with that theory.
Yeah. Yes, that too. And now in terms of Bugatti, I don't think Bugatti should be subject to these types of regulations. I don't think small volume sports cars should need that.
Well, and the owners of those barely drive the cars because they are busy making $1 billion or have 30 other cars.
Right.
But also, like, this kind of glosses over, Lamborghini or Ferrari or McLaren, the hybridization of those is like torque fill. And it's a small motor, it's performance.
Yeah.
And they have a small EV mode, whereas BMW with the M5, that's more like the traditional hybrid. So I think there's different versions of hybridization that we need to separate.
And there's also certain cities around the world that are banning pure internal combustion cars from their city centers to combat air pollution and things like that. And so if you are BMW and you make an M5 that has 50 miles of electric range, or the Porsche,
it's
whatever.
It's 40 kilometers.
Whatever it is, there's a limit. There is a number. There's a minimum. Maybe it's 20 miles or whatever the fuck it is. That you need a permit, to drive into the parts of town based on being a hybrid, and their customers live in those places and go to those places, and so they don't really have a choice in that matter. But
True.
Porsche, Bugatti, that's a performance hybrid, and they're using it to supplement areas that internal combustion engines lack in torque and smoothness.
Right.
Yeah.
And Porsche says if you want an EV, here's the Taycan. If you want a hybrid, more traditional one, here's like the Cayenne.
Right.
And then if you want a sports car, it's going to have a just performance hybrid.
Yeah.
It's
And
different.
at the very, very high end, like millions of dollars, like those people don't want EVs. Like nobody wants an EV that's like $2 million because it doesn't feel any different than an EV that's $200,000. Like there's a limit to how much money you can sell an EV for, whereas beyond that, it's all about the emotion, the connection, the sound, and the sort of permanence of. That's why the new Bugatti is literally named after a watch complication and has a fucking gauge cluster made by a watch company with gears and shit, because no one is spending fucking $80,000 on an Apple Watch, even if it's cased in gold. But they'll spend $1 million on a mechanical watch if they can see crazy fucking shit going on in there. That's like how luxury works. Darian Lux, does the BMW M8 get enough praise? They're great looking and really fast, yet you don't hear people talk about them too often. I think it's a boring car.
I think we're just hearing people talk less about performance coupes in general, especially above a certain price point.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this a lot. The executive coupe is less and less popular. People are going sports car, or they're going crossover, and sedans actually less of those too.
The M4 has gotten so big that it has basically eliminated the need for an M8 coupe. The M8 is not noticeably faster than the M4.
True.
It's much bigger on the outside, but has basically the same amount of space on the inside.
True.
And it's not a particularly interesting car to drive. I took one on the the Hudson Quattrocento last year with my dad. I didn't love it. I found it to be a pretty forgettable car with very uncomfortable seats.
Oh.
It had the terrible seats in it.
The CS seats?
Yeah, which in that, who wants a fucking $200,000, 4,500-pound all-wheel drive GT with those seats in it? Get the fuck out of here.
Someone who is extroverted at the club, but only when they open the door.
Yeah. There used to be a bigger gap. I mean, when the M3 had the V8 and then the M5 and M6 came out with the V10, there was a difference in how those cars really felt.
True.
Now everything's.
I mean, now the M8
clutch.
has the twin turbo V8, which sounds different than the M3.
Yeah,
but in terms of the
still,
experience,
the experience of driving them is not far apart.
Yeah.
Thomas E. Now that the Chevy SS is 10 years old, how does it hold up? Still one of the best sports sedans ever. I haven't driven one in probably 8 years, but I remember it being pretty good.
I was looking up prices to see. I think they're holding their value really well.
I'm sure they are, because what other manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, full-size sedans can you buy? And they're clearly enthusiast-focused. I don't know how their like interiors age. Let's see. Sold for, they hold their value. They're all like 30 to 40 grand.
I still think they look awesome. The shape of this car, especially the fenders, viewed from head on or the back, the shape is so good.
Good looking car. They definitely have held their value. I think these things were in the 40s to 50s when they were new, and they're all still selling for middle 30s to low 40s. That's good. That's good value retention, not at all surprising. And they were lovely to drive when they were new. I haven't driven one since, but they were great when they were new.
The simple M5. I would rock one of these things.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, this is a very Zach Clapman kind of car. Let's go back to the page. Yep. Let's see. 3 left? Is there a lot more?
There's a lot more.
Oh, there are?
Oh, there's
okay.
a lot more.
Are there? Okay, well, we're going to do 3 more, and then we're going to hold off for the next show, or the pro show. Pistonhead says, thinking about my next daily driver, I live on a small Caribbean island, St. Bart's. Oh, all right. I need something agile, compact, and fun with minimum 200 horsepower. 4-wheel drive is a big plus. GR Yaris is he said, did you ever try the GR Yaris? I never have, but they have a new automatic coming out. Didn't they just come out? Didn't the Yaris just come out with an automatic? I mean, the GR Corolla is great. If you made that even smaller, that would be amazing. The story came out today that the GR Corolla is coming out with an automatic next year.
It's got direct automatic transmission, as it's called.
Yeah.
So
GR Yaris automatic.
That would be super fun.
That sounds all right.
Yeah.
I don't know what they sell in St. Bart's, dude. Honestly, I wish I had a client here who lives in St. Bart's who dailied an Elise in St. Bart's.
That's pretty cool.
Which was pretty cool.
How much road is there in St. Bart's? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. That's where celebrities go to vacation,
it's where, like,
right?
Really rich people go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy probably runs a laundromat called USB. the bank.
Yeah. I don't really know what they sell down there, and I'm not going to recommend an Elise, but a Yaris with an automatic, that sounds like a good time. Yeah. I can imagine you want something small. That makes sense.
Yeah, tootle around.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Chris N says, a few episodes ago, you talked about the Volkswagen Group not wanting to dilute the Lambo V12 across the lineup. However, why does Mercedes sell their V12 to Pagani but not use it in their own cars? Well, Pagani doesn't have to deal with the same level of emissions and stuff that Mercedes does.
Right. And Mercedes, I think, they have to have emissions averages. And also the twin turbo V8s are so good now.
Yeah.
And make basically the same power and are much simpler. And they're probably cheaper to make. Mm-hmm. Because they can amortize the cost across all these different platforms. And if I was shopping for a car, we talked about this with the Bentley. Like, we would rather have the V8 than the W12.
Yeah.
I would definitely rather have the V8 sound in a Mercedes AMG car than the V12. The current V12s are really quiet.
Yeah, and I think the V12 that they sell that Pagani uses is the old architecture.
I don't know.
I think it's the old V12.
Well, the new one, because there's a story about this that someone bought with a manual, and it has a twin turbo V12.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's the NA V12.
No,
but
the
it's
Zondas were the old NA V12. I think there's probably a lot of money in selling those engines to Pagani, but they don't have to. Pagani is considered a separate manufacturer, so whatever they're doing with emissions compliance or stuff like that, Mercedes doesn't want to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah,
and they just don't need to.
And it's not diluting any brand either. Where we talked about Volkswagen using the Lambo V12 in other things.
Yeah.
This is not diluting anything.
Yeah.
It's making Mercedes look better, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It is making Mercedes look better, going, our engines are in Pagani.
They're good enough to be in Pagani and F1.
That's going up market.
Yeah.
That's like, the equivalent there is like that Apollo IE thing that uses a Ferrari engine. That's not diluting Ferrari's brand. But if you put a Ferrari engine in a limited edition Alfa Giulia, like when the Ferrari engines were, when, you know, Ferrari doing Maserati's engines, that helps Maserati more than it does anything for Ferrari.
Very true.
Right? And most people who buy a Mercedes 600 do not care that it has 8 cylinders instead of 12. As long as it has the most power and the most luxury and says 600 on the back, that's what they care about. If it was a 4-cylinder hybrid, maybe all of a sudden they'd start caring.
Right.
But they don't care about a twin-turbo V8 versus a 12. Yeah, I disagree. I don't think so. Let's see. Cass Cohn says, you've always said the best cars are the ones that come to you. Actually, my editor wrote that headline. Just basically got a 93 Explorer for $2,500. Impressively clean with the original red paint and near perfect interior, but the car has 270,000 kilometers. I can't imagine holding on to it. Where would I sell it and hope to get the best eyeballs on it? I mean, probably like Cars and Bids would probably be a good place to sell that.
Probably.
I mean, oddball cars that are in excellent condition.
Yeah, looks cool, has a story, tons of miles. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best place. I mean, certainly an auction as opposed to just, you know, local Craigslist or something.
Yeah.
But like, you know, there's things you can do, right? Detail it like unbelievable. Spend the time, spend the energy, make it look amazing. You know, have it serviced. Take really good photos of it.
At the right time of day.
The right time of day.
Yeah.
Show off the paint. Like do the things that you should do in order to show how nice it is.
Yeah. You know, if it's very clean and if the paint looks good, or if the paint might look old, but if the interior looks really clean, take really detailed photos of that.
Yeah. That is our show. Gents and gents, please go and watch the 911 Hybrid video. Please go and watch our Miata video. We had a great quality of light when shooting the Miata video. It was really very nice out there. Thank you to our patrons for asking such good questions. Hit up the Smoking Tire shop to grab these WCCS hats after finally they're very comfortable and very well made. And I will have more information on the next colorways with the Notice watch when I get back from my trip to New York, which to you guys will be totally seamless because there will continue to be content. We'll see you later. Bye.